Hey, it's getting spicy in the NBA playoffs.
It is.
Things are heating up.
Sure.
You got Jokic shoving the Suns owner. Possible suspension looming.
A little bit of a flop.
Yeah, a little bit of a flop, but, listen, any sort of physical altercation between an owner and a player, that's what we need in the NBA playoffs. It's going to take it up, ratchet it up a notch. There's some people out there that are looking into the rules and claiming there could be a suspension coming here for Nikola Jokic. Highly doubtful considering how the NBA operates, but nonetheless, that's a speculation out there. So I feel like we're getting things are getting a little spicy. Got a couple.
Is that what the Suns? Is that what the Suns need to have in order to actually win that series? Are they that worried about Jokic being a part of the rest of the series? They can't win it?
I mean, come on. We had a great time in Phoenix for the Super Bowl. Now you got to air out their NBA team.
I'm just saying, you've got Kevin Durant. You've got Devin Booker. I mean, you've got this team kind of loaded up of all-stars, and you guys still can't beat Denver?
They're one game every game they make it, they're one game closer to getting CP3 back too. There's a possibility he could return for the end of the series.
CP3, whoever else. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a very valid point. All right, so let's hear. Do you guys want to hear from?
No.
You don't want to hear from either?
Don't even want to. No,
Brady, do you want to hear from anybody?
I'm joking. You want to hear from anybody?
I mean, I would love to hear from the boys.
All right,
we've Lee, Roberto,
the boys
Eddie.
are back in town.
Well, yeah, they're all here. But you want to hear from
guys.
Mike Malone, or do you want to hear from Jokic, who talked about the altercation? Because both.
Jokic for sure.
All right, so let's hear from Jokic, who sounds like Rocky IV. This is Jokic
if he
discussing. I swear to God,
racist.
It sounds not racist. That's what he sounds like. But he was discussing the altercation with the Suns owner last night after the game.
The fan put a hand on me first, so I thought the league's supposed to protect us or whatever. So, but maybe I'm wrong. So we will see.
Did you happen to know who the fan was?
He's a fan, isn't he? If he's a sitting
Phoenix Suns owner.
Sitting on the courts, and he's a fan, isn't he?
Yep.
That doesn't mean that he's so whoever it is, and he's a fan. He cannot influence the game by holding the ball.
I just love it. It's just so matter of fact.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah.
If he dies, he dies.
Now, I don't know, because the Jokic brothers, they travel.
They'll thug it out.
Oh, yeah.
They will thug it out with you now.
So, I'm not quite sure if that's the group you want to pick some sort of an altercation with, if you're the Suns.
I mean, aren't they? I mean, I could be ignorant on this one, and I'm sure I'll get the button hit on me, but isn't that kind of almost like what Tyson Fury, like the Fury family is?
I mean, kinda.
Aren't they like? I mean, am I horribly wrong or out of line if I say almost
Jokic
like gypsies?
Jokic is Serbian. Is that what you're going for?
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm just
How could you, LaVar?
Yeah.
Way to go.
Sorry.
Way to cluster everybody.
I'm just saying, if there's some way somehow there's some type of relation in like the kind of like the area or bloodlines or something to that connection.
It doesn't even have to be bloodlines, right? I mean, I've seen the movie Four Brothers. I know exactly how that stuff works.
Great point.
Yeah, but they're not from over there. They were the Four Brothers. They was from Boston, wasn't they?
Was that Detroit?
I thought it was Boston, and then two
it
of
was
them
Detroit.
happened to be
Detroit, yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
interesting.
We're related, and we don't look at
that's what I'm saying.
mean,
We're
that's
like
true.
Four Brothers. That's what our show's like.
Yeah. Well, that is true.
I just don't want to be the one that dies. I think there's one that dies, right?
Well, I think we know in our movie which one dies, but I'll hold that one.
It's whoever's racing at Churchill Downs.
Oh God. I mean,
y'all missed mine though. Y'all missed my zinger, but it's all good. I mean,
I don't find that to be true anymore, though. I know what direction you're going, but I don't actually find that to be true anymore.
You knew what direction I was going in? My quick zinger that I threw out there?
What direction was he going in?
Well, I think the old thought would be you'd assume LaVar would die.
No.
Why is that?
Oh, okay. Who are you going after then?
Look at your text message.
Okay. Oh, that's messed up. I mean,
come on. Sorry, Berto. That's done before. Now, I do think that Mike Malone, I think Mike Malone, the head coach of the Denver Nuggets, is a fan of this show, and in particular, Brady Quinn. I believe that he's a fan of Brady Quinn.
Okay.
And I think that he's very well aware that we have a fine system in place for certain things that we're not allowed to do on the air. Like if LaVar laments about his time in Washington, he gets a fine. If I'm passive-aggressive, I get a fine. Well, if Brady Quinn is dismissive and just says he doesn't care about something on the air in that classic dismissive tone that he exhibits from time to time, that's a $10 fine. Apparently, Mike Malone, huge fan of that tactic by Brady Quinn. Take a listen to the Nuggets head coach afterwards.
Yeah, I'm still not really sure what happened. I haven't seen a video of it. I think it's crazy that Nikola got technical foul in that situation. He's going to get the ball, and some fan is holding on to the ball like he wants to be a part of the game. Just give the ball up, man. You know what I mean? And, they deemed Nikola doing something that was excessive, I guess, and they gave him the tech, but I still don't really understand it.
Do you think the fans, the owner of the Suns, made any difference?
I don't give a shit. I mean, I really don't care.
I'll be honest with you. Do you think every single player in the NBA is aware of who the Phoenix Suns owner is?
No.
They're supposed to be?
No, but I'm asking you, first off, he recently took over as majority owner. And I kind of look at it and go, I wonder how many people are looking around, courtside and going, oh, there's an owner. There's an owner. Like, I remember, when I was playing football, I could have given two craps if there was an owner around, besides the owner that I was playing for. I could have given two craps. And I also wasn't, out there looking for that anyway. Maybe he was. Maybe he's more aware of it. I don't know. But I think it's a little bit much to assume that, everyone's going to know what that owner looks like, especially when, they're kind of dressed down in person.
Yeah.
It's one thing when you're in a room and you've got a bunch of people and you're around shaking hands and you're like, oh, this room's filled with NBA owners. That's one thing. It's another thing when you kind of see someone who's not dressed how you thought they'd be or not in a spot you thought they'd be. I mean, how many times do you kind of see someone that you're like, oh, I know who this person is, but they're not in their uniform or they're not how I usually see them. They're dressed down in something else. I don't recognize them quite the same. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he looked like a wealthy. Probably owns a couple
I'll be honest with you. Just say
Scottsdale.
It. He looked like a fan.
Yes,
he looked like a fan sitting courtside.
Who had courtside seats,
But
makes a lot of money, and lives in Scottsdale.
Here's my thing, right? Here's what really kind of, it's almost like a irking type of situation.
Oh, I think you say Urkel. I was like, oh.
Yeah, kind of. No, not Urkel, not quite Urkel, but just irks me. Is that if that was a regular fan, what happens to that fan? Right? If that's a regular fan, what's the narrative from the media? Because the narrative from the media is, did you know that was the owner? It's almost like okay, in any other circumstance, Jokic is right. He's right. Give me the ball. Get out of the way. What are you doing?
Right.
But the fact that it's oh, did you know that's the owner? Oh, my gosh, the owner's holding the ball. The owner's holding the ball. If that's anybody else in the stadium, they run the risk or run the chance of being escorted out of the arena.
And also, to Mike Malone's point, give the ball back.
Give the ball, let the ball go.
It back. If you watch, he was holding on to the ball and he also swiped at it.
He also touched Jokic first.
Yeah.
If you look at who kind of touches, he touched Jokic first. Which that's something that, it's a weird dynamic. It's one that, I really can't relate to having played football because you don't really get around fans in that capacity, at least not where you're competing. There's no one really up on you quite like that. The NBA is different in that way, right? You're kind of more vulnerable. You don't have on a helmet and pads they have pads on, but it's not quite like shoulder pads. You're kind of more exposed because they're right up there on the court. And I think it lends itself to a lot of more what you see in the NBA, where you see the interaction with the players and fans, and sometimes altercations break out. And in this case, it's just because you're sitting there, don't be touching players. Don't think you have the ability to, even as an owner of your own team, your own players.
That's the hypocrisy of this entire conversation. Is if he's not the owner, this is an entirely different conversation. Why is the narrative conversation different because he's the owner? So he has the right to be a moron on the court because, oh, he's the owner. Like, oh, did you know that's the owner? Like, he's a fan. Like, you just asked me once. He's a fan. Okay, you just asked me twice. He's a fan. Shouldn't you be protecting the players from the spectators? Like, and Nikola is 100% correct. He's correct. You're not letting nobody else do that. So why are you letting? Oh, because it's the owner. Like, nah, that doesn't deem it correct or all right. Or now the narrative is something different. We have to look at the rule book on this. No, if that's a regular fan, he's going to be handled as such.
If anything, it sets a bad example. I mean, that's the reality of it. If anything, you should want your owners, if they're in that spot, to be conducting themselves the way you'd hope fans would conduct themselves. And it's like you shouldn't be touching players, and you shouldn't be holding up a game like that.